there's a time, and I don't think this is too much of a spoiler, to say that there's a time in the story where everybody goes to a baseball game. And the New York Yankees were coming through town, and they really did this. They used to barnstorm around in the off-season and play amateur teams and semi-pro teams, and the Yankees really did come through Austin and play. And some of the plays that occur in the book are things that really happened in real life that I found in the American Statesman accounts. The final score is the same as what that game was. But then I changed a lot of things around it too. There are also a couple of other things. One I probably shouldn't talk about because it's too much of a spoiler, but I think it's safe to say at one point there's a flood. And this happens back in 1906. And the first dam in Austin was built on the river in the 1890s, and it was quickly washed away. So they went through times back around then when there were dams and when there weren't dams, and there used to be a lot of floods on the Colorado River. And I read about 3 or 4 different accounts of floods and then took little pieces of them. There's one account of the gable end of a house coming down the river and banging into a bridge and getting stuck and sort of swirling around a little bit and then breaking free and going on down the river. And so, you know, I use that. But then from a different flood of 5 years later, there might be some other piece I took about where the flood occurred and how bad it was. So I found that if in the research, if you try to stay too close to the truth of what really happened, it doesn't work. You need to stay true to the truth of your story. And so to take details from 3 or 4 floods, or to take the baseball game, and yes, I mentioned Babe Ruth, and yes, I mentioned Lou Gehrig, but it's really about the people in the stands, the people from the family that are there. And they're in it, but that's not the main thing. And if I tried to put too much detail into talking about that baseball game, it would just turn into a digression. It really wouldn't be an integral part of the story. So you've got to always keep the story in mind and what you're really trying to say when you're doing research. It's really risky to, I had to keep reminding myself to leave this out, leave this out. The one sentence in here about a man who died and was found in a ditch, that really did happen. I knew someone who disappeared, and people were driving around looking in ditches trying to find him. In the earlier version, I had about 4 or 5 paragraphs on that. It's 1 sentence now, because that's all that was necessary. And doing research is the same thing. You've got to just pick out the little pieces that are necessary.
I will just tell you real quick that the Ransom Center on the 2nd floor has a photograph of the Yankees coming to Texas in 1921 with Babe Ruth right in the middle.
Yeah.
It was a panoramic.
I might have seen the same one. I did see one at the in the Austin History Center of a similar type of a thing. It's the whole team sitting down.
And it's
lined
really
up.
long. Is that this long, the print? Because it was
no, what I saw was just an 8.5 by 11, so it was probably, it might have just been a piece of that, or it might have been a different picture taken on the same day. I don't know. But they really did come.
They really did.